We will not edit this part out. I
Yes,
want
we
people
will.
no, I want people to understand we are trying something new here.
Just more and more starting to realize that this liberal secular concept that we've been fed our whole life, something about it is not working for us.
So when I hear someone like Jordan Peterson, which I think, and here it's recorded, I believe he will convert to Judaism.
So that's been moving me more and more to look into our religion. And the more I learn, the more I'm fascinated, and in a way sad too, because, I'm not that young, but it is what it is. But about how much in our religion actually answers a lot of those questions.
Yes, the God that you do not believe in, I don't either. When you're trying to be, aspiring to be a practicing Jew, you have to constantly think. Some things will become automated, but if you live a rich life and if you try new things, you will always be thinking and reevaluating your actions, your thoughts, the hierarchy of what is important and what isn't, what overrules the other, and why, and what can we learn from that. If this is more important than that, that means something about the ways of God and how God wants us to appreciate and understand the world. He said to me, you should stay chilonit, you should stay secular. Don't become religious, because religion is not Judaism. Religion is kind of more like OCD and more about myself, my benefit.
You cannot create a concept of yourself. You are constantly negotiating with society who you are. You don't know who you are. You don't have an identity per se that you decide for yourself. You are constantly negotiating because we don't really know who we are.
I told you we will be soulmates forever from your email.
That's
I
amazing.
love the way,
That's
I
amazing.
love the way you expressed yourself. I love the path that you're on. I'm on the same path. It just seems like technically I'm down the line a few steps. אני חושבת שאת צריכה להתחיל לדבר. תגידי מה שנראה, איך שאת תגדירי את מה שקורה כאן, איך שאת רוצה.
Oh, okay.
מה שאת רוצה. הנה, אני גם כן. הנה,
Uh,
סווסט, אני גם, תגידי לי שאני יכולה
oh,
ל-record גם כן.
okay.
יופי. יש.
אז שלום רלי, אני ממש 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 מתרגשת.
יש.
אחרי...
אנחנו עושות את זה בעברית?
או, סליחה.
יופי.
אוקיי.
אוקיי.
שלום רלי.
הלו, שלום.
Shalom. I am so excited about this, and it's our first one. It's our pilot, but I think I have a feeling this will go on for a long time.
I hope so.
Yeah, for me for wow, לא הכנתי כלום. רגע, תני לי כמה
It's
שניות.
okay. It's good. We'll keep that. We will not edit this part out.
Yes,
I
we
want people,
will.
no, I want people to understand we are trying something new here. This is a pilot. This will be the very first one. And the part where you are fumbling for words will be like the highlight of this entire show, whatever.
I love
People
it.
will remember this moment
Yeah,
forever.
I love it. Okay, well, let's start from
Why did you send me an email?
that's exactly what I was thinking. Why did I send you an email? I don't know. Sometimes we don't know why we do what we do. But I've been listening to you and Rui for months now. And lately I started, the deeper I got in, the deeper, I started listening to Guide for the Perplexed. And I was familiar with it before you guys. I have a book by Micha Gutman.
Yes.
And that's how I got introduced to it. And I got introduced to that book from my cousin when I was visiting Israel. I was telling him about my obsession with Dr. Jordan Peterson. And he told me, I know who the Jordan Peterson of Israel is. And he said,
Who is this cousin? I want to send him a thank you note.
So he said, Micha Gutman. And I said, yeah, no, I'm not sure that's true. But that's what he said at the time. That's how I got introduced to Moreh Nevuchim. And then with you guys, it was actually through a discussion with Rabbi Manis Friedman, which my cousin sent me probably a few weeks. That's a different cousin. I have a lot of them. Sent me after the war started, and but it was not related to that. It was my this particular cousin of mine who is in LA. Me and him were around the same age, mid-40s, getting close to 50, and just more and more starting to realize that this liberal secular concept that we've been fed our whole life, something about it is not working for us. What we do with that, I don't know, but we've been researching a lot and reading a lot, both me and him. And so when he finds stuff, he sends it to me, and vice versa. And so he sent me the discussion with Manis Friedman. Both of us have kids who were born in the US, Americans. And so it's hard. It's hard. Where do you bridge? It's all great that we at 40 something decided that, something is not right, but where do you
That
go?
doesn't necessarily say that the kids feel the same way.
Right, right. And so where do we go from here? Now, for me, it's been at least 7 years. They say you should start studying the Kabbalah when you're 40. Maybe there
Yes.
is a reason for it. I don't know, but it hit me when I was 40. And not necessarily Judaism at first, but just reading and researching and understanding certain things. And my brother-in-law introduced me to Jordan Peterson, and that changed my life, like it did for millions of people across the globe, right? And it was something that Jordan Peterson said. Am I going on for too long? I don't know.
I don't think so. This is
okay?
fascinating to me.
Really? Okay. So I remember driving. This was before my son's bar mitzvah, so this was 5 years ago. Driving to get stuff for the bar mitzvah, and then listening to Jordan Peterson's book, and he said something in there about how it doesn't really matter who wrote the Bible, if it was given to us by God. The fact that it lasted this long means that it's what evolved. It's what how do you say, what survived.
Yes,
It's
as we
story.
said, as we said in our previous conversation, which was offline, well, online but not recorded,
Right.
time is the best sifter. A work of
Exactly.
art that
Exactly.
survived so many thousands of years. And it doesn't really even matter when you believe the Bible was written, even it was at least 1,500 years, 2,000 years. We believe it was given to Moses some 3,500 years ago. So, but it's so long. It's been so long that it's been on the best-selling list, and there's a reason for that. Not only,
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
actually, it doesn't even contradict. I mean, if you believe that, like I do, that the Bible is from the divine, it does not contradict, because if the divine was to write something, it would last forever.
Right.
So it was written in such a way that even if you do not believe, if you have questions, it will still be thrilling and interesting and thought-provoking and deep and relevant to all times from now till forever. So
Yeah.
you can take that point.
I want to hear more about that. I think I lost you a little bit.
Okay. At what point?
So you're saying it's not really relevant. It doesn't really matter if it was given to us by the divine or it was written by people
I don't say that it doesn't really matter, as
Mhm.
Peterson, as you quoted Peterson as saying. I
Mhm.
don't think it doesn't matter. It does, but it does not contradict.
Yes.
Meaning,
Yeah,
if
yeah,
you
yeah.
like I do, if you believe that the Bible is from the divine, it is okay for you to still hold that belief and see others who do not believe treat it as just a beautiful work of art, an eternal, relevant work of art. That's fine because it does not contradict the fact that God gave it to us. I mean, it can only strengthen the fact that God gave it to us, because something that is given by God will be suitable to last forever and to sit well
Yeah,
with
yeah,
the psyche of humans
right.
throughout time.
Yes.
So it's fine. So when I hear someone like Jordan Peterson, which I think, and here it's recorded, I believe he will convert to Judaism. I
I
don't
do
think he
too.
will.
I wrote you, I think I wrote that in the email that I sent you, right?
I
So
think he
that
did.
was actually, so at one point, so first of all, he changed my life. The psychology that he teaches, without a relation to religion, although I think it's connected because I think he believes and he really does.
He
Uh,
went through a process, I think. It was gradual for him
yes,
since
yeah,
his
yeah.
beginning, like for
And I think
10 years.
he discovered the truth through psychology, but he was very consistent and truthful. He really believes in the truth, and I think he's going in that direction. And so just his advice about personal responsibility, about,
Exactly.
really, really, really changed my life. But again, like he says, I think I always knew what he was saying. He just found, he gave me a way to articulate it. He had a way to say it in words. I think the way that he preaches, I was kind of there anyway, but he gave me a way to articulate it. Anyway, I at some point one day I heard him say that he finds it very strange, but many Orthodox Jews listen to him, and he doesn't know why. And I thought that's so interesting. Um, and I mean, when we grow, when we learn, it happens in parallel to a lot of other things. So I can't really say when, but I started to see, well, I mean, with stuff that's going on politically here in the US, just started to see that what we're being taught, what our way of life, there is some, it only takes one crack, I guess. And I started to see, okay, so I need to learn more about this and that. And slowly, slowly, I started to look for people in Israel who follow what I follow.
Which is a path, which is looking for something, rebuilding, redefining, understanding, and relearning what is this?
Yeah, and I think it's fascinating that, like, I've been following Douglas Murray, for example, now for,
We have a talk with him also.
I
We have
know, I know. So I mean,
wonderful person, wonderful
that's
person.
that's one of the things that made me contact you, because it's such a, I've been following him for maybe 6, 7 years when nobody knew who he was. And then I see
Before
it
he was a thing.
before he was a thing, absolutely. And then to see that we interviewed him, and so I'm like, wow, these people, they follow, what I follow, and they're Jewish, and more Jewish than me.
And
Um,
we'll
I
talk
I
about that
I
later.
know, but and so there is that, but more and more, it's actually interesting. I was listening to an interview this morning, and it's talking about how you have to have the right concept.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. It
when
all starts with definitions.
but yes, and it had to do with the war and this and that, but I was thinking, because, and we can talk about it, but we, as in my family, have been changing certain things that don't have to do with religion, but there is certain things that my husband and I just could not be okay with,
Okay.
that are
Okay.
going on in society. And my husband is very good about saying, nope, that does not work. And I am a lot more, okay, if that doesn't work, then what does? I mean, you can't just say that doesn't work. So that's been moving me more and more to look into our religion. And the more I learn, the more I'm fascinated, and in a way sad too, because, I'm not that young, but it is what it is. But about how much in our religion actually answers a lot of those questions. And so I thought, okay, but it's been a journey for me, because not everybody sees, I mean, even the religious, if you want to call it that, not everybody sees what I see. And
No,
and so where do you look for that exactly? And
you have to build a new path.
yeah, yeah. So, but through listening to you and Ro'i and Moreh Nevuchim and hearing, what Ro'i said, which turns out came from you about God doesn't exist.
Yes, the God that you do not believe in, I don't either.
Exactly. I
When
love
people tell me I don't believe in God, I say, listen, the God that you don't believe in, neither
that.
do I.
Such a strong statement. It's just that's it. I've been saying it to people. I've been taking it from you.
And
And then also, God does not exist, but he also does not exist. So
he
there's that.
is.
What?
He is. In Judaism, what in America they say Jehovah Witnesses, Jehovah. We're not allowed to say the word in Hebrew. We've
Right.
talked about this, and we see it all the time now in the parasha, in the uh, uh, how do you say it in English, parasha? I have a problem because I teach Bible in Hebrew, and this
Right.
is the first time I'm going to try to do this in English. But how do you say parasha? Like a segment of the Bible? Like,
We say parasha. I don't think we don't say something else. And
no,
I
but
think,
if someone will listen to these things that is not Jewish, so
yeah, actually, I
how do
don't.
you each week we read a segment of the Torah.
Yeah.
Some weeks we don't because there's a holiday. But in general, every week we sometimes it's two segments, and the Bible is divided into 56, I believe. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. This is this is the beauty of this. You can be wrong and it's fine. I don't pretend to know everything. We're just on a journey together. Uh, so in this week's segment, we're talking about Yud K Vav K. We're talking about the is. God is, and God presents himself as a certain tense that doesn't exist in any other language, is just dedicated to describing God. It is a combination of is, was, and will be mixed together.
Mhm.
And that is the one of the names of God, which is not allowed to be pronounced.
Right.
Only it's never
Yeah.
pronounced, actually. Never. Even when you read the Bible in the synagogue, it's not pronounced ever. It's you say, in other words, you say Adonai, which is also not allowed, but less not allowed than that one in the hierarchy of. If it's in the situation where you teach someone, you can say that word Adonai, but not the other one, the Yud K Vav K, not allowed, which is fun. I'll tell you the truth. It's fun. It keeps you on your toes. Like, you have to always think when you're trying to be, aspiring to be a practicing Jew, you have to constantly think. Some things will become automated, but if you live a rich life and if you try new things, you will always be thinking and reevaluating your actions, your thoughts, the hierarchy of what is important and what isn't, what overrules the other, and why, and what can we learn from that. If this is more important than that, that means something about the ways of God and how God wants us to appreciate and understand the world. And if you mentioned Jordan Peterson, I want to mention
Right. His
the
hierarchy. Everybody makes fun of its hierarchies, but
yes,
that's
exactly.
it. Yeah.
Exactly. But I wasn't thinking about the hierarchy right now. I was thinking about the fact that he gives an antidote to wokeness, to extreme liberalism, which has become the bon ton of everything, especially in social media, because as it turns out, and he speaks about clusters of personality traits a lot, as it turns out, the kind of people that gravitate towards Silicon Valley type of uh, jobs and positions tend to also somehow be more liberal. And also people who are inclined to arts
Mhm.
tend to be more liberal
Mhm.
as a rule of thumb in general. and they set the tone. Even if they're not everyone, they are the majority, and they set the tone in these work environments. So what we get is that anything that has to do with technology and even AI, social media, everything will have a more liberal tendency.
Yep.
So I want to mention Elon Musk, who gave, maybe we will put some video next time. It will be more, we'll make things more, مشوخلالين, more complex. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Better.
Yeah.
We'll get better at this.
Okay.
But Elon Musk said something beautiful. He said that being woke is about two things. It's about not accepting meritocracy. We'll talk about that. And about not accepting freedom.
Interesting.
Okay, and it also goes the other way around. Being more conservative or less liberal, a bit less. I'm a liberal person. I define myself as a liberal person. I grew up in a secular family, and I'm still the same person.
Which is amazing. I still want to hear that story.
As Rabbi Friedman said to me in our conversation that you met me through,
Right. Yeah.
he said to me, you should stay chilonit, you should stay secular. Don't become religious, because religion is not Judaism. Religion is kind of more like OCD and more about myself, my benefit.
Fascinating.
Judaism is not about that.
Okay.
Judaism is not about that. Stay open-minded and liberal. And as you are those things, think about, what does God want from me? Who is he, and what are his attributes that I am mitzvah, that I am obliged, commanded to try to imitate.
Right.
So that was just brackets. And now back to Elon Musk, the two things. So we have meritocracy, which means the rule of merit. What is merit? You get what you deserve. You work, you give some sort of benefit to society. You contribute something to society that society is interested in. Not what you think is good, but what society deems as worthy.
Fulfill a need. Yeah, it's the story of Cain and Heaven, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And everything revolves around the beginning of humanity with the forbidden fruit. You had two trees. We'll get to that later. We'll just finish up the thing with Elon Musk. So two things: meritocracy, the rule of merit. The people who rule, who guide, who lead society ought to be the people who contribute valuable things to society, deemed valuable by society.
Yes, yes.
And that is completely against anything woke.
Yeah. Yeah, but on the other hand, it's completely in line. Well, first of all, my understanding is that it's Jewish, but it's also completely in line with what Peterson preaches, which is you cannot create a concept of yourself. You are constantly negotiating with society who you are. You don't know who you are. You don't have an identity per se that you decide for yourself. You are constantly negotiating because we don't really know who we are. And so we grow up and we negotiate with society, and society keeps, or our friends, our family, whoever is in our circles, keeps giving us feedback about who we are, and that is how we form our identity and what we can contribute to society. If we're honest and good, and what can we contribute?
Exactly, which lead us to the comment section. If you're watching this, let us know what you think of us and this conversation. This is very important. We really want and will appreciate your feedback. And in our next conversation, Bezrat Hashem, God willing, we will read out loud your comments from this video to let us know what we can improve on and to feed the other comments of the next session. So, and back to the two things. So one was meritocracy. In the woke movement, they are completely against meritocracy. And even if they're not completely against, they're not aligned with it. They force us to like certain things or to say that we do. They force certain behaviors on society. They scold society for behaving wrong. I mean, and they forcibly bekoach, they artificially and with force they place certain people that they deem um uh, suitable in power positions, not by merit. We just saw that with that gay, what's her name?
Oh, yeah.
Catherine,
Yeah.
Colleen, what's her name? I'm terrible with names, by the way. If we keep this up, you will see that I'm horrible with names. I know her name was gay,
Always
but
added afterwards to the video, and yeah.
I will
I
not.
don't know her name. The president of Harvard. I don't know her name either.
Yeah, whatever her name was.
Yeah.
Now, she obviously did not get to that position by merit. We now see it.
Right.
For what did she get there? I don't know, but it's hard to say, but we can guess. And it's not by merit. And she's obviously woke. She obviously relates to the woke movement. So meritocracy is one. And the other one is freedom. When you are a conservative, you believe in freedom, the freedom to be, the freedom to be. You know, when you, and it's in one way it seems counterintuitive, and on the other way it fits right, it fits the bill completely. Because when you imagine like a redneck conservative in the USA with a cowboy hat and boots and everything, with the six bag and the pleat shirt and everything, you imagine the shotgun, and you imagine him saying, "Get off my property. You leave my family alone. Let me be what I want to be." So it does fit the bill. That's freedom.
That is
And
freedom.
that's the Second Amendment. What is a gun? What is a gun? It means the government and any governing entity that will arise will not be able to take my freedom away from me completely. Never. There will always be a border to what I will tolerate. And the governing force will always have to take that under consideration. In some way, that cowboy with the gun is the symbol of freedom and boundaries and family units. Woke people are very afraid of family units. We will see that in the Bible also, a few parashot down the line no, we saw that. I'm sorry. We saw that with Lavan HaArami that wanted to keep Jacob with him. Okay? We'll talk about that later. I have so many things to say. I can go on forever. So
I
please.
know, no, but this is amazing. I think it's important for people to know the connection between us. Hopefully I explained it well enough. Well, we've only known each other for what, 5 days now?
Yeah.
Something like that.
I told you we will be soulmates forever from your email.
That's
I
amazing.
love the way you expressed yourself. I love the path that you're on. I'm on the same path. It just seems like technically I'm down the line a few steps. So it's just
Interesting though.
fascinating.
I think that's so interesting. It's, I have two sons and a daughter, and my two sons always seemed to me like they were very, very different from one another. And although as they're growing older, I don't actually think so anymore as much, but they just like different things, have different interests. And I always used to say that if both of them like something, or it means that there is something really right about it. So for example, I started teaching them programming when they were very young, and they both loved it. And I was like, there's something in that. And as you know, I developed a career out of that. But Um,
Well, explain. You can plug whatever you want. Just say
I
what you have, your initiative, say it. It will make people listen, it will make people see how valuable you are to society. We just talked about that, about meritocracy. And also it will give you maybe traffic to your website. Why not? You can be the sponsor. And now a plug from our sponsor, Mital.
Well, I didn't
Tell
mean
us,
to,
Mital.
but yeah, I teach kids how to build games. I teach teachers really, and I sell curriculum to teachers. It's very different from all the programming curriculum out there. It's graphic and it's animated,
It's
and
based on Scratch, right?
they build games in Scratch, but the curriculum that I built is animated, and it has no audio, which means that the teachers can lead their students through the material while themselves learning at the same time.
Oh, beautiful. If
Yeah.
that made you, the viewer, interested, we'll link to Maytal's website in the description.
So
Okay.
the
So
point is,
your two sons,
I built it from
you
the
taught
ground
them.
up.
Go
And
ahead.
and what started it was, if anyone is interested in online business, which is what I've built. I built it from the ground up, starting really from just giving to my community. So I discovered this with my sons and their friends, started teaching their friends for free just to kind of see how it goes, and from there I started creating curriculum and it was beautiful because I I saw what was needed. I saw, and especially how to grab the kids' attention. I'm not one of those teachers who just had like charisma from the get-go. Some people have that. So I built curriculum that the kids are actually just fascinated with, and there is no disruptions in class and all of that. The point is, with my boys, they were so different, but I knew that there was something there because they're so different from one another, and they both just loved it. They were just mesmerized by the program. And I see a similar thing between me and you, because I feel like we come from completely different worlds, and yet we are attracted to a lot of the same things.
We
And
both we both see something that is just wrong. I also have a business, I have a studio, I have an online store, and these two main points that Elon Musk made resonate so much, and it's subconscious. He puts it in words, but to us it's just, wait a minute, I'm supposed to hire someone just because it's a woman?
right.
Why?
Oh,
No, that's,
that's
as a business owner, maybe that's the connect, because that doesn't make sense. Like in
and
in
it's
in
also not
words.
good for women. I mean, my husband,
Exactly. Exactly.
if there's a woman working for him, and he hired her because she's a woman and she doesn't do a good enough job, then he has to work extra hours, which means he's not coming home, which means now I'm screwed by it. Uh,
Yes. And
it's
also that is very true. But also if we take it a step up to society, what is the boss? It's not just a white man with a cigar with his legs crossed on the desk
no,
in
it's
his
someone who's
big armchair.
competent.
It's not that. It's someone, I'm a boss, you're a boss. It's someone who wants some product that will benefit society.
Right.
And if our hiring decisions are based on things that are outside of what will benefit the final product most, that is bad for society,
Yes, absolutely.
because society will get a product that is very much deteriorated from the original or
Your
best
English
version.
doesn't cease to amaze me. Yeah.
Thank
Yes.
you. Wait till you hear my French.
I'm not going to be able to.
Stana is nothing. Anyway, so you compromise the quality of life of women, who are part of society, when you give them deteriorated products and services, because your hiring agenda is messed up.
Mhm.
It's like they say about abortion. It's like you have to deal. We say guns and abortion and everything, because it's all connected.
It is
It's all
all
connected.
connected.
Why?
Yeah.
Because when you talk about abortions, most abortions are conducted on female fetuses because we are 51% of the population. So,
Right.
and it you hurt women when you kill future women.
Yeah.
It's
Well, they
and
don't see
also it
them.
comes
They
back
don't
to
see them.
accountability
Yeah.
because if women do not hold the men accountable and they deteriorate their own hierarchy in life, we can open a different topic on that because in past times, of course, there were troubles, and we do not want to go back in time to the 50s.
Mhm.
However, we can look back, and this is also one of the main points. If when you look back in history, you think, oh, these previous people before me were so stupid, they were not.
No, absolutely not.
I understand much better. It's like a teenage child.
Yep. No,
The whole woke society, the whole woke movement is like a teenage child. I think Jordan Peterson once said that. It's like a teenage girl mad at her parents for reading her diary. Listen, you do not understand better than the people who came before you.
no, you don't.
And
And it
and
has to do
let's
with
let's circle
humility,
back
which is
to the
the Jewish
beginning.
value,
Let's
right?
circle back to the beginning. If something stood the test of time, centuries, if something like the Guide for the Perplexed stood the test of time, that should hint to meritocracy. That should hint to the quality and the relevance of these ideas. They still resonate, they're still relevant.
Yeah.
So, the 50s, we do not want to go back to everything that was in the 50s. We believe that the reality is constantly
Evolve.
improving,
Yes.
constantly improving. Life is constantly on the rise, quality wise and spiritually, and everything is always improving. However, some aspects are deteriorating. So we can look back and see, listen, that part of the recipe was a bit better, I think. So when we did not have legal abortions and cheap birth control, they always had birth control.
Mhm.
Rashi said that. He said that when with Yehuda and Tamar, when Tamar got pregnant
Uh-huh.
and they said uh, um Rashi says there, check it out, that they were mishamshot b'moch. The women would put some lint. Ah, yes, would put some lint to prevent pregnancy.
Yes. Yeah.
Just saying. So when Yehuda was mad, he wasn't mad per se that she was promiscuous. He was mad that she deliberately got pregnant to embarrass him.
Right.
And how can you accuse someone of being deliberately pregnant if pregnancy is just something that happens that you have no control over?
Right.
They had birth control. Okay.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Okay.
Thank you. So birth control was always there, but now, so the part of the past that we would like to cherish is accountability and personal responsibility. If we as a society, as women, would know that there is a limit, we would have more freedom. Freedom to be ourselves and not slaves to Ve'eli Shech Chukatech, which is Bereshit. We, women today are suffering too much from the curse of Eve, which is you will all your desire will be towards the man. Now it was supposed to be your man, Ishech, your man, but now they're doomed to try to attract all men,
Right. Right.
and they are in such a whirlwind of who am I? How do I place myself in a hierarchy? There's this beautiful podcast now that's very popular. It's called Whatever. Have you heard of it?
Oh. Mm-mm.
Whatever podcast.
Okay.
And Well, check it out. And it's women, the women come up there. It's a group of women. Most of them are OnlyFans and
Oh,
so that type of person. And the host always he is conservative, and he always brings another point of view, like another, like Candace Owens was there, and another one
I
from the
did
Daily.
hear about this. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so he always has another anchor with him. So there's him and another one, and maybe two or three more, and then a panel of maybe six or seven or eight of these other women.
Yeah,
And it's fascinating. It's for adults only, I presume.
yeah,
I wouldn't let my children watch this, but it's fascinating to see what is the extreme of being woke, what is the extreme of being a feminist. You become a tool of all men's desires.
exactly, exactly. No,
And
that's, I
that
always tell my
prevents you
children,
from
yeah.
discovering yourself. That infringes on your freedom because you did not put that boundary.
Mhm, mhm. Isn't that interesting how it all comes together? But
Everything is related.
yeah,
Everything. Also, the climate and everything with to do with the green movement and everything. It all has to do with, do you believe that this world was created and designed by a higher power? Do you believe that this higher power has intentions of making this world a beautiful, better place? This world was not designed to be doomed. This world was designed to be prosperous and magnificent
mhm.
and free and beautiful and awe-inspiring. That is the plan. And you're supposed to see this world and realize immediately that there is a God and love that God. This is the plan. Okay? Most sects in Judaism believe that this is the plan. Okay? There are different views on every topic, but this specific thing of why did God create the world, there are maybe four answers that everyone agree upon. And one of them is this, that God wanted everyone to understand that he is here. He is, was, and will be. Yud Ke Vav Ke.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Yeah, no, it's there is so much in that. Um, I would like to hear from you. I'm fascinated by, I'm hearing, and I also saw some of that in LA, some of the religious movements that are actually going, the Jewish religious movements that are buying into this woke movement. And it's very, very hard for me to understand because if this was spreading, into our community, in our society, I started more, and, with everything that I described before, Jordan Peterson and the people I was following, because I was looking for people who think like me. And then I remember saying to my husband, my friends, the religious have it right. And I still believe that, but it seems to me like certain, at least here in the US, but I think also in Israel, because I've been listening to some podcasts from Israel, some of them are falling into it. How is that
Yes.
possible?
Okay. So let's not forget that almost every radical movement in at least recent history was conceived by Jews.
Yes.
Communism, terrible idea. Terrible idea. Everyone keeps saying it's a nice idea on paper and theoretically it's a nice idea. It's not.
It just depends who,
Stealing is
if
not
I
a nice
implement it, it
idea.
will be better. Yeah. Yeah.
It's wrong. And Jews made it up. Like in the top
Use-
correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but the top five leaders of the communist movement, four of them were Jews. And also, I think they even spoke Yiddish. Like,
I heard
I
that
think
somewhere. I don't know. I don't know how to verify it, but
so.
yeah,
So, okay, just
yeah.
look it up. You, the viewers, you get homework also. You're not just sitting there listening. You have to do something. Meritocracy, have to earn being a part of this project. So yes, a lot of the many social movements began with Jews. Many philosophers who changed the world were Jews, like Spinoza. And there is something about a Jew, a Jewish soul, that it is always looking for answers, always looking to better the world.
Yes. Yeah.
And also, you have to remember that you're in galut, you're in the exile. I
Yeah.
don't know how you say galut, exile, but I think exile is only
Yeah.
political, but is it
Hola.
also,
Yeah. I
yeah.
don't know if it's, I don't,
You're over there among the non-Jews,
right.
and I see it also with Rabbi Manis Friedman. And in the previous conversation we had, I think I kind of scolded him.
Mm.
I said, listen, you can't say this and that because you're there in New York,
Yes.
but I'm here
Yes.
in Shomron. I'm here in Eretz Israel. I can say whatever I can say the truth. I
Right.
don't have to consider what the goyim will say, will think. I don't. I'm here to fulfill my duty as the deliverer of truth. I am a Jew. This is what I do, and I'm not a missionary. I do not want anyone. I do not want. We'll talk about that later. How Judaism is not missionary. Never mind. I'm here to bring God's truth and God's presence in this world.
Mm.
And being woke is anti-God. That's it. Now, some parts of it, this is, you have to remember this thing. Anything that exists has some connection to holiness.
Okay.
There cannot be existence in this world with no connection to holiness. So when you see a phenomenon that is very widespread, that caught on, that resonated in people's hearts, like we said, that time is the best sifter. You can also look at what is a hit, what people like, and you'll see there is something holy there. The thing is, it's not aligned with the presence of God because of the things that we've mentioned and much more. You can be liberal, but to think that woke is kind of back to the original sin of deciding what is good and what is bad.
Okay.
I'll be the judge. I'll tell you what is good and what is bad. This is bad, this is good. No.
No humility. Yeah.
Humility. Go back to the ancient writings of the prophets. Go back, and I don't think you really have to follow one certain rabbi or one certain way of thought. Just, you can read Hebrew, and we'll talk about how translation is very, very problematic. But
It
even
is
if
really problematic. Yeah.
it is,
I've discovered.
translation is problematic,
Yeah.
especially when the translator is Christian. That's
I gotta tell you, in defense of the Christians, many of them have come out against the woke, and it's
yes, yes, of course.
more rare for Jews here to come out against the woke.
Yes, and why? Because they're in Galut. For the two things that I mentioned, first, they're in Galut. They want to please their surrounding neighbors. First of all, they don't want to cause too much trouble. This is the fashionable thing to do. We'll do that.
Yes.
We'll try to work around and kind of, they've already changed so much. Many of the Jews in America are like, what, how do you call them? Conservatives? No,
Oh,
they have conservativim, איך קוראים להם? They have this word, I just can't
reform?
remember. Reform Jews. Oh my,
Yeah.
this, what, what, what? We'll talk about that later too. And
Yeah.
the whole Christian, Judeo-Christian. Oh no, what?
I
No.
don't agree with you on that one, but we can talk
Okay,
about
okay,
it.
we
Yeah.
can talk about
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
later.
Yeah.
Listen, we can't cover everything
No, we
today,
can't. Yeah. 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 No.
but okay, we'll just say that this will be our conversation for this time. Okay. This will be the first pilot. Okay. Let us know in the comments below what you think. What should be our format? We made a pact to do this at least 3 more times to see how we do it. So please, you have the opportunity to impact the format greatly. Whoever writes in the comments now, will change things here for all eternity.
Yeah.
Because even if we quit this project, it will stay online probably, just in case.
I don't know. Maybe
So
we should like go over it though. I don't know. I'm a little nervous about it, to be honest. But
don't be nervous. Don't people I tell you as someone who's done many, many of these unedited, uncut podcasts, people love it when it's real and raw and authentic. This is
that's
this
for
is
sure, for sure. No, I
this
think
is
unedited, you can't compete with that. And that's also it's where we compete with AI at the end of the day. Because
humanity.
it's the thoughts that come, spontaneously out of our head. It has to do with free will. It has to do with that consciousness that are in us, right?
Yes.
So I
If
absolutely agree with you about
and
that. I
if
just feel
and
like
you know
maybe we
what,
weren't that prepared.
I'll be the first comment. The first feedback will be from me. I think that next time we have to we have to dedicate the
Okay.
talk
Yeah.
to God, and we have to tell God, listen, we're here for you. Guide us, put good words in our mouths, put good thoughts in our heads. We are ready-made vessels. Do whatever you want with us. And at the end of the day, there is no programmer who is not religious.
No,
Because
what do you
no
mean?
programmer is not religious, because all programmers pray real hard before they execute anything. They know there's something mystical. So I know I've studied computers in the university also. There's something mystical. You can never be 100% sure. So you have to pray a little bit always.
Well, you always
So
have to pray a little bit. I feel like, you have to have you put your best foot forward and then you pray, right? And
and
then
again, when you say best, what is good and what is bad? Ah,
yeah, no, no, no. That's very true. Isn't that why we study then? Isn't that why we
it
study?
is.
So
It
I
is
feel like back to the
because if you ask the terrorists from October 7th, they did everything for God. Everything
yeah,
horrible they've done was good
yeah.
for God. They did it with all the enthusiasm and religious thrill. They believed they were putting their best foot forward.
Yes, absolutely. No, you're right about that. So then how,
So
and
it's a tricky
we
thing.
go through that in everyday life, right? With the,
Yes,
even with the kids, who is right? Or,
yes,
so we go through that all the time when we make decisions. And how do you really know? I believe that it's about, well, one, truth, be truthful, right? And two, we have a certain format that we have to follow as Jews. That's something like the truth I've always believed in. That's always been my highest value. But as I'm getting older and I understand more, and with the craziness in the world, I understand that we need to study I think you told me this, our photo album, right? Our
our
family.
family album. This is
Yeah,
our family album. Yes,
yeah. We have
beautiful
to
album.
study it, and we have a structure
This
in.
can be the thumbnail. Look, smile, thumbnail.
We
Okay.
have a structure, right? We're supposed to study these parashot every week. I had a conflict this week with the family, and I was studying Parashat Bo because we were going to talk about it. And from that, something came to me. It was just, oh, it had to do with when you do something wrong, how do you know? I mean, a lot of the time when people do something wrong, they do it. Sorry. When you do something wrong, you on one hand, it's possible that you don't know that you did something wrong, right? You have a certain concept. So like the people with the woke worldview, they don't think they're doing something wrong. The people on October 7th didn't think they were doing something wrong, right? They have a
Yes.
different concept of the world. So there's that. And then there are the people who actually have a good concept of the world, right? Like Pharaoh in the last few makot, in the last few
Plagues.
yeah, plagues. Good job. And so at that point, he knew that he was doing something wrong, and he still repeatedly boy. He was still stubborn, and because of his ego, he decided to keep going with that. So at that point, that to me, that's one, you have a responsibility to learn what the right concept is. And I think me and you are still doing that. It's kind of the journey of life, right?
Everyone is doing that. Everyone is on the journey.
We're continually learning, and I think the parashot give us a really, really, really great format. And but beyond that, once you have the right concept, you have a responsibility to not go by the ego and to really do the right thing. But you're right, it's you can't decide what the right concept is on your own. We just don't have that capacity in the 80 years that we were here. We have to learn from our family album. I love that. Did you come up with?
Yay. And Isaac Asimov has a beautiful short story. I think it's called Sunset, I think.
Okay.
About how there's this society. I don't remember the details, it's all blur, but how there's this society where on this planet that the sun never sets except for once every, I don't know, 200 years. And then when it does, society breaks apart and mayhem breaks out and people kill each other because they don't know what's happening and mayhem occurs. And every 200 years, society develops from scratch because everything is ruined. And the sun comes up again and is up there for 200 years. But every time there's a handful of people who do survive, and they write down and they hide writings of listen to us, the sun will set, but it's okay. It's okay. Don't be afraid. Don't start killing each other. It will come up, it will rise again. And everyone, as the years pass, people neglect these writings and say it's just a myth and it's nothing. The previous generation didn't know what they were talking about, and it all circles back. It continues in a cycle.
Isn't that, I mean, oh my gosh, you almost brought tears to my eyes. So I'll tell a story, a personal story, which also started me on this journey in a way. My grandfather passed away when I was 7. He was a Holocaust survivor. And when I was 6 years old, it's one of my first memories. There was a picture, a photo in his, hang on in his bedroom. And he had 11 brothers and sisters.
Wow.
Yeah, religious back in Czechoslovakia. And I remember as a 6-year-old, he said to me, this was my family, and the Nazis murdered my family. And like I said, it's one of my first memories. And one thought that I have, and I guess this is a little bit more liberal, but one thought that I've had was like, I was 6 years old, is that really healthy to tell that to a I was never mad about it, but it's just as I was raising kids myself, I'm like, well, I don't want someone to tell them something like that, right?
I should shelter them.
Yeah, the Nazis murdered. But as I was getting, so I had a little bit of that when the kids were young. And then the more I thought about it, the more I thought, you know what? So he passed away a year later. And I'm the oldest grandchild and from that side of the family. And I feel like there was a reason, like he had to say it. He had to say it. And it shaped me. Anyone who knows me knows that it shaped me because never again really means something to me. But him and later on my grandmother, with things they've told me throughout the years. For example, my grandmother, I remember a conversation with her in 3rd grade when I said to her, well, it's not going to happen again because, this is a modern world now.
Exactly.
And my grandmother, who was like the happiest person, like this is not someone who like cried about the Holocaust. Like, she was extremely social.
She moved on.
She did move on. She did. Unlike my grandfather who had a harder time, with that, but she did move on. But that conversation, it was on a bus, I think, going to Haifa. She said to me, no, we were modern. She actually grew up in Hungary in a very modern, they had the theater, they had all of that. She said, no, that's not true. And of course, we know that that's not true. But as a child, so those things shaped me. And I always say to people, my grandparents warned me. And that's also why.
Listen, did you record this? Because on my end, your
It's still
internet.
recording. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Um, so I think they warned me, and for me that, I mean, you could say that it was, I became 40 and I was starting, to search for more spiritual stuff. But the truth is, and it's hard to know which is which, but the truth is our world has changed, and I started seeing the things that they warned me about when I was a child. So
Germany in the 30s was hyper modern. It was the top in technology, philosophy, fashion, everything, cars, everything
it was the
was.
center of the world, more than America.
And if you read this, there's this essential book by Stefan Zweig called The World of Yesterday, I think. How is it translated? I don't know. Look it up. Uh, he was a great writer, very, very prolific, and he lamented the world around him. He was a Jew, and he committed suicide, him and his wife, in the middle of the Second World War, as he saw how the Nazis progressed and how the Nazi propaganda is ruining his beloved culture, his beloved modern culture. And he describes how far we have come as a society, as humanity, how we've evolved, and we overcame so many ugly things that were a part of humanity, and we evolved into something better and wonderful. And how could this happen to us, of all people, us, the Germans? Unfathomable, as Candace Owens says,
Yeah.
unfathomable. So again, it's all the
And
same
it's
thing.
cyclical.
Do you believe that the people who came before you were just in the wrong? They were just not evolved enough. Egypt, in the parasha, they were the top of the world at the time. And you have to understand, it doesn't really matter what kind of technology they possessed. The mindset of that culture was of being the top.
Yeah.
As we, I
Yeah.
mean, even was it your daughter? I just lost track. It's your daughter who said it could never happen now, or was it you?
No, it was me. It was me.
Okay, so
Yeah.
even you saw how the world is evolving. So you knew somewhere in your brain that the situation that you deem now as technologically advanced, you knew that down the line it will be regarded as backwards, as not that evolved, because technology is always evolving. So even then you knew that the future you will review the past you as less evolved. And yet you held that point of view of being at the top. So that feeling, as the Egyptians had, that feeling of, okay, we have this down.
Yeah.
We are the top of what's available right now. And from that emerged the Nazis, who
Right.
thought, well, we can do better. We can put our best foot forward.
Right. Yeah.
They
Yeah.
they meant well. They meant well. The road to hell is paved
Paved
with
with good intentions. And
good
that's another
intentions.
thing that I love from Peterson, is that he says that you think there isn't a Nazi inside of you. You think,
Yes.
it's true. It's, first look inside. Don't think. And yeah, I don't think that there is something particular about the Germans that made them bad. I think that they let something into their society. And unfortunately, I'm seeing a lot of signs here. But yeah, no, I had, because I mean, I grew up in the 80s in Israel, and around a lot of Hungarian immigrants. And so the Holocaust, and at that time they were 60, and the people who
Pretty
were,
young.
yeah, they were pretty young. And they would come, I don't know if you remember, I think they're a little younger than me, but they would come to the elementary school. So there was a culture back then, which they didn't try to protect us. It was almost as if they realized that they were going to be gone soon. And like you said, the story had to be told. And so we grew up in this, like, I know my mom did not, because when they first came, right, when they first came from Europe, they couldn't talk about it. It was too much. It was too traumatic to talk about it. And they were looked at as like, those, why didn't
They were
they?
mocked. They were
But
also mocked.
they were all
Many of them came to Israel, and they were considered to be the losers, like the
right,
stupid
exactly.
people who stayed there.
Exactly. Why didn't you do
Like you
anything? Why
deserved
did,
it. Like what did
yes,
you? We knew, and
yes,
we prepared ourselves, and we moved to America or
yes,
Israel. We
yes,
left. You
right,
stayed.
right.
Tough.
Yeah,
And they had to join the war. They have to. They had to endure so much here also.
it was, yeah. And so I think it was that kind of a mentality where they didn't talk about it. And then by the time we came along, our generation in the 80s, it was this window. I see it as a window now, as a window of they have to tell us before they're gone. I mean, I certainly went through that with my grandparents, but also with my friends' grandparents. I remember them coming to our school, to elementary school, second, third grade, and telling their stories. Point is, we've closed that window long ago, not because they're gone, but because we've become liberal and now we can't tell the kids anymore. So I've had people tell me, why are you talking to the kids about the Holocaust? It's not good for them. Why? Why?
Well,
Why is it not good for them? Um, so yeah,
here we I call it Toda'at Shoah. We
yeah,
have the Holocaust here, um in the language we use, in the stories we tell. It's very much alive and well here, and I think it's very important. I was just We had this Holocaust Memory Day. What do you call it? I don't know, Yom HaShoah. And they had this ceremony, and the kids were up there. It's not millennial, it's Gen Z
right.
kids, 13, 14 years old. And they were reading these cards, they were standing there reading the cards, and well, man, my mother was killed, and then they moved to the side, and the other one came, and when we saw the first snow, we blah 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 blah. No, they don't feel the pain. They've never met anyone who survived this, and probably, even though
That's
there
even
are
in Israel.
movies, they are sheltered. They're not told the story as real as it was in its raw form. Now, here, since October 7th,
I was just gonna say, yeah.
exactly, because how I don't want to hear the stories myself. I want the sifter of time to go
That's,
through that. I didn't hear anything.
so
I
there's a
didn't
time.
see anything. I don't watch the news. It was just enough. Thank thank God that it happened during Shabbat Simchat Torah. My parents were here, and my parents are secular, and they heard the news that morning. And my father was he laughs all the time. His face was very grave. He said, listen, something terrible just happened. It was just the beginning of understanding what happened. And I was like, you know what, we have one day in the year where the mitzvah, the commandment, is be happy and only happy, and it's this day. You want to see the news, do whatever you want. I'm going to dance with the Torah. I don't care. It's just it doesn't I don't want I'm not allowed to let anything saddening into my mind right now. I'm not allowed. I'm only allowed to be happy. And I led, not just me, well, the group of us, we led the dancing. It was separate, of course, girls on one side, boys on the other. It was so happy. And as the hours went by, we saw so many of the men showing up to the synagogue with the uniform and the gun, waving goodbye and going away to wherever they had to go. And one by one, they left 60 men from our small community of 300 families. 60 men.
Yeah.
Anyone who was at the right age left, and we stayed there, the girls with the kids, and and the elderly and those who aren't very kravi, aren't very militant. They're more they're anyway, we stayed mostly women and old people and kids, and we danced and we had the time of our lives. And from the synagogue, you can see the sky of Tel Aviv. And we saw the rockets with our eyes, not through the media, just saw it there. And we understood that something terrible is happening. And maybe they're going to come at us also. We don't know. I had my gun on me.
Yeah.
And, we just danced. Whatever. I mean, why are we
I have to hear a lot more about that. That to me. So you're saying the people who
Okay, so about the horrific things, about sheltering
I want to go
children.
back to that because that's very interesting. Okay.
They saw the rockets with their eyes. All the kids were outside cheering. We told them, we tried to tell them to come indoors, but we were like, no, you know what, whatever. Just be outside. We did not know what was going to happen. And when they told us that they see some Arabs coming closer to our community border, I strapped my gun on, I put on some good boots, and I went to the border to protect and to watch with my camera. What else can you do? I mean, there were no men left. This is woke for you. I was the man.
Oh, yeah, don't get me started. But how did you, I want to hear more about it because it's interesting. Like, weren't you scared that, I mean, didn't you feel like you needed to know more?
She just came back from synagogue.
Hi, Hamuda.
You know what? At the end of the day, what are we? Why are we here? כן, בובה.
אמא חזרתי מהתפילה, ואז הייתי שעה וחצי לבד ועשיתי כושר והצבעתי על תחרות.
אני אמות עלייך, אני אמות. Anyway, we belong to God. He made me a Jew. What a privilege. And if, God forbid, we do not encourage being a martyr at all. We value life.
Yes.
But if, God forbid, I were to be killed because I'm a Jew, I don't know. I mean, that's the way it goes.
I get what you're saying. I'm just wondering where the line is between, I mean, where is the line between?
I did not go outside of the border.
Okay.
I did not go to, storm them. I was just there in case they tried something. I was just there. Wasn't provoking anyone. They didn't even see me.
Right.
They flew a drone over there and the Arabs just left.
Okay.
They saw the drone and left. I don't know. They were not militant. They were not coming to provoke. I don't know why they were there. Okay. They just left. But there were no men. What am I supposed to do? It's not like I was out on a suicide mission.
Right.
I mean, they were looking for anyone who held a gun to come and help watch that. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, no. I mean, and that's, I feel like there's something.
זה סרט פומבי, מאמי שלי.
באמת?
כן. זה עולה ליוטיוב.
עכשיו?
כן.
לא, עשיתי את המדרגות, לא.
אז תלכי.
אז תמחקו אותי.
אי אפשר למחוק אותך עכשיו. We'll blur her out. I don't think so. It's too much work. We'll try to. I'll try to. Anyways, we can talk
No,
about
I
this.
think there's something really interesting about that, and I think it's something I want to learn more about. But there's this culture here in the United States where you would think, I mean, when you compare what you guys went through, it's like, what are we even, you know? But there is a culture here of like, I have to know all the time. I have to know what's going on. And it's like,
I don't have a
what are
cell
you even
phone.
going to do about it?
What are you gonna do about it? What? It's just, it clogs up your mind.
Yes.
Instead of just seeing the bigger picture. The world is evolving. God is good. God is, was, and will be, and everything that has existence in this world is from him. And you do not know
There's something very
what is the
healthy about
definition
it.
of good and bad. The definition of good and bad cannot come from the human mind.
Yes.
It will only breed trouble.
No, but there's something very good about it mentally, because look at all the people suffering from anxiety, you know. I think, and you seem to me more healthy than most people I know mentally. And
Thank you.
yeah,
So
no.
come on over. Come on over. Be my neighbor. I have a fan club. No, but it's also it's chemicals in my blood, in my brain. It's also very
No,
genetic.
there's a part of that too. There's certainly a part of
I
that.
think I believe that my optimism and level-headedness comes from my grandparents on my mother's side, maybe from my father's side too, but my mother's side, who were Holocaust survivors. So they went through so much. I think that a lot of it was they're genetically inclined to being optimistic and focused, and I feel like a survivor, you know? I feel it in my
I do
blood
too.
when I hear
I do
the
too.
stories. I feel like I would do these things as this is what I feel. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Let me know
No,
in the
no,
comments.
no, I do too. And I feel like I mean, I've told you a little bit, but I've always, you know, said my truth, and there is a price to pay for that, you know. It's a big deal. It's not like going to fight in the army and all of that, but you know, we're all born in a certain circumstance, and we're all in a certain circumstance, and
So let's end with this thought. You say my truth. That's dangerous, but there's something hidden there. When woke people say, I'm also saying my truth,
right, right.
they're not endangering anything when they say their truth.
That is
They're
the
not brave.
that's
They're not
exactly
brave and
that is
courageous.
that's
They're
exactly
just saying what's fashionable to say.
right. I always say
So
the women and the women,
when you speak out against what's fashionable,
right.
there it's more likely to be closer to the real truth.
Oh yeah, and that's the point. I mean, and this started here in America years ago, and maybe it was always going on and I wasn't paying attention to it. But if you look at the Women's March and all these women taking pictures of themselves in the Women's March, and I'm like, you're not courageous. Everybody
No,
knows what you're doing. Once everybody
yeah.
knows what you're doing, there's no courage in that. That's just fashionable.
Not only is everyone doing it, but also you will be sanctioned if not following the dogma of the party.
Don't call that courage. That's not courage.
It's not courage. That's just doing what everyone is doing.
Yeah.
And that's being afraid of humans rather than being afraid of the one true God.
Yes.
Let's end here. Okay. This was fascinating. I enjoyed every minute of it. Thank you for initiating this thing. We will meet again
You will.
next week. And
Sounds
let us know in the comments below what you thought of this. Thank you. God bless. Final words, Meital.
I really enjoyed it. Fascinating conversation, and we'll keep doing it. That's
Yay. Yay. Thank you. Bye-bye.